My name is Annita Lucchesi, and I'm Executive Director of Sovereign Bodies Institute. Today on May 5th, which is the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, we are featuring a series of panels all throughout the day featuring family voices. We think that families are the experts on this issue and how we should be addressing it. And so we really wanted to uplift family voices today. And this panel is specifically for voices of families from California. It's really an honor to have the panelists that are joining us today, especially because several of them I've worked with for years, both in this movement and, grown close friendships. So it's a really special space to share with you all today. I do want to share that we are very grateful to Chris Devers, who is an elder from the Palma Band of Luiseno Indians. And Chris Devers shared with us an opening prayer and a blessing and a song for the families who are participating in this panel. We did not record that song because it didn't feel appropriate. But we do want to share with our listeners that we're very thankful to have been gifted that good medicine at the beginning of this discussion. And he'll be here listening and will also help us close out at the end after we turn off the recording. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our first panelist, Tammy Carpenter, who, as I've mentioned, is not only someone that, is I love to share space with in the movement, but is also a dear, dear friend. So Tammy, I'm going to turn it over to you to share whatever you'd like. Tammy, you're on mute. Michaela, can you help her unmute?
Yes, I sent a request.
There it goes. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. Hi, my name's Tammy Carpenter. I'm in a Hoopa enrolled tribal member in Hoopa Valley Tribe. Today, I'd like to talk about my daughter, Angela Lynn McConnell. She was taken from us on September 7, 2018 over in Shasta Lake. Her and her boyfriend both were murdered over in Shasta Lake. So, every day is today, but I think the people that acknowledge today as a special day. And it's also a sad day also because it's also my father's birthday today. He would have been 88 years old today. And so it's a kind of difficult day today. Because every day I deal with it, but I know I'm a strong person and I know I'll get through it. And Angela, would be proud of me. I could hear her in my ear saying, yeah, mama, do it. I know you can. And I'm proud of you, mama, because that's what she always tells me, my daughter. Our family misses her tremendously. She was a beautiful, beautiful young woman taken from us at the age of 26. She was loving, caring, giving, beautiful smile. She was a beautiful young woman, had a lot of stuff that she wanted to accomplish. She wanted to be a nurse. She wanted to be a journalist was the most of all. She loved to read. She was a very heavy advocate reader. She's also like her mom, our family were very political, tribal politics, with everything with that, even with the other stuff going on in this world, we're always, being optimistic about everything. But we miss Angela, and Angela had a brother that she had left behind too, also Richie Carpenter, and he has a hard time, but we talked about Angela, all the funny things she does and funny things we think about, all the silly things she did, and but he misses her a lot, and I miss her also. But currently we have a billboard over in Shasta Lake over where she was murdered at. My tribe had put up $30,000 reward. It was 15,000 and my tribe had matched that. So it's $30,000. So that's one thing we just started going this past February. Currently, I just, excuse me, I and my family went and had asked if we can have a private eye investigator because the Shasta Major Crime Unit is not helping. I talked to Justin Brewer, but he was not very, very comforting with any information. He said everything was still the same, no leads, no nothing. I go, well, we have the billboard up. Well, nobody's talking. And I said, okay, I spoke to him in February 2016. No, February 16th. It was February 16th. Gosh, I'm getting nervous here talking. February 16th of this year, I talked to Justin and it's really upset. That's why I'm getting upset about it because then he told me that there was no leads, no nothing. And I left it like that. Then I called last week with Justin and I talked to his supervisor and it was really disturbing things that he had spoken to me about. He said, well, I don't like the way, you're kind of going off on Justin and stuff. And I said, well, Sergeant Wallace, how would you feel if your daughter, your loved one was taken from you, was murdered, and you had unanswered questions? And he goes, well, right now, Ms. Carpenter, he was very, very disrespectful to me, saying that, that he said that there's no leads and nothing going on with Angela's case. They'll never get solved, and it kind of broke my heart. I had a hard time, trying to digest a lot of the stuff that he had spoken to me about. And I feel just like everybody else in this world that we have to fight for our women that were murdered and other people that are taken from us. And I told him, well, you can say whatever you want, but, I'm going to get justice for Angela McConnell, my daughter. And he goes, well, you could do whatever you want, Miss Carpenter. He goes, but, I go, and he goes, well, it's been past 3 years. And I told him, well, you know what, Sergeant Wallace, it doesn't feel like 3 years to me. It felt like it was just yesterday. It's like putting your sugar and cream in your coffee, I said. And he goes, what do you mean by that? And I go, that's how you're taking it. Like you just put sugar in coffee, you put sugar and cream in your coffee, like it's just like nothing. But to me, it's something vital to me. She was my only daughter I ever had. I said, I'll never have another daughter. I said, well, I'm sorry, Miss Carpenter. Well, you already insulted me, offended me. So you know what? I don't want to talk to you anymore. But he was very rude, disrespectful to me. He said a lot of other things, but I'm not gonna, give him the satisfaction of talking about the negative things he talked about Angela's case. But I wanted to bring that forth as, they don't really care about Angela. But I'm glad that we do have a private investigator coming on the case here in a little bit. So hopefully I'll get to speak with her and maybe she can, touch base with different things. Maybe she can, ask questions that other people can't answer. But that's an update on Angela's case currently. So we did go down to the to March this past, I think on the 24th of April, and it was very difficult because I haven't gone to any of those. And only thing I really would want as a mother, my only daughter, I would like to have some legal representation. I would like to have like lawyers helping us to go on things, or like private ID, private investigators coming forward, helping us, because a lot of us, some people, I'm very vocal, I'm very forward, and I'm always on the forefront for my daughter. But I would always like people to have help, on the legal aspect of our cases, because it's very trying, because it's really things that I tell that Sergeant Wallace about Angela's case, and I didn't hear that from Justin. It was really rude. I just, it's really disheartening how he had treated me. And I did tell my tribal council when I talked with them last 29th, I just spoken to them and I told them, I thanked them for helping to help provide with a private investigator on Angela's case at home. Thank you. And I told them, some stuff that Sergeant Wallace had spoken to me about, and told me I wasn't very happy about it. And they were, very discouraged about, him talking that way to me, because Angela was somebody, she was a Hoopa tribal member. She also was Mojave and Yurok and Karuk also, but she, Angela, I know she'd be proud of me to keep moving on with her, come forward thing with her to help her, solve her her murder. So it's really a difficult time. It's every day though, just today's just one day, but I personally as a mother, I deal with it every day, and I pray, and every day, and ask, pray, to the Lord, and ask him, to have somebody speak, say something, because it's difficult every day. Every day is a hard day, but I get up and go, but I think, thank God for having my son, because he's it helps me to get through everything. So I have him and my sisters that help me. Angela's aunties, they help and support, support I and Richie. So, and my nieces and my nephews, and I have a lot of extended family and friends that help, like Annita. I think thank the Lord for Annita, because she's an awesome person. She's so helpful and loving and caring, for the families. And, I appreciate everything she does for me, from the beginning, until when we get done with finding out the justice for Angela. And I thank her, because she's so helpful and so caring and loving. You have to have that compassion, when you're working in this kind of work. It's really hard, because it's really hard to talk to some families, because some people don't like to really talk about it, because it's so hurtful. You lose your loved ones, your daughter, your son. It's really a difficult time, but I know we can, I just want to talk to the people that lost their loved ones, that we have to be on the forefront. We have to be their voices now, like I'm Angela's voice right now. I'm her mom, and she can't talk no more, but I can speak for her, and I'm going to speak loud and proud, what I want for Angela. We need to, really get on the law enforcement wherever our loved ones are murdered at, get help, and go talk to people. Like I had one of my sister's family members, he was murdered over by, I think, by Oroville, and I told her to, reach out to, maybe there's an MMIW organization over there, but I was going to help her, find somebody to help her, because she has a lot of, her son was murdered, Thanksgiving Day and of 2019. So it was really sad. And she was telling me there's no help, and I was trying to talk to her. But there's other families that that need help, and I wish that that people could reach out to them at different organizations to them. I told them, call the nearest one and they can help you. I said to help her get started on things, so she's like that. So I pray for her every day so that she can find like me, find justice for her son that was murdered.
Thank you for sharing all of that with us, Tammy. I know this is really hard to talk about, so if you get to a point where you need to stop, that's okay.
No, that's fine.
One question that I have for you is for any of our listeners out there who may be, passionate about this issue, or it's hurting their heart to think of families hurting in this way, what's something that you would want them to know and to walk away with?
I would let them know that they have to be their loved one's voice, because if you don't, go and ask for help, talk to law enforcement. Don't be scared to talk to them. I know they're going to, just like I'm being treated, like, oh, there's no leads, there's no, talk with them, and ask them questions and question them, and be the, your loved one's voice, so they can be heard. And, just like myself, I'm going to be writing letters of, of complaints on them, and just go up the ladder to see what's going on, because, it's been almost that guy's 3 years, but it doesn't feel like it. But you have to be that voice for your loved one. You have to be an advocate. You have to. It's hard, but you have to do that, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? Because my daughter's gone, and I miss her every day, especially during holidays like Mother's Day weekend coming up. So it's really hard for the holidays. But I'm glad that I have my son, my family to help me. But you have to be that strong one. You have to be the voice. You have to go forward. I know it's hard, but being a parent, it's really difficult, but you'll be strong. You can do it, because I'm doing it.
Yeah, you are. What are some ways that the public could support you, or families in your position?
I think a lot of advocacy, get out there. I would make, like, if you have Facebook, like I do, create a page, get on in the internet, get on the media, use the newspapers, your local newspapers, your local news people, that people that are or the local radio stations you have. I think the media will always be your go-to person. Everything with the media, because people like will see something, bypass them in the newspaper, or they'll see an art, like an article, on Facebook, like a lot of things I see on Facebook with a lot of these, individuals that are, being missing and being murdered. So I see a lot of that on the internet, but some people don't have internet. But if you have the media and the newspaper, the television, then you can get your point across. Put it out there and let them people know, like my son or my daughter's missing, or they're gone. So I always have to go to them, and ask, go and I always say try to find your local MMIW if there's one nearby. Search them out. They can always give you direction to somewhere else, and that's why I told my sister-in-law to tell to look for help, because they're there to help you. They're there to help you.
One of the things that we've talked about recently is how important it is for families to have legal representation and how hard it is to find it. What are some ways that, if they're, because any country has a lot of great attorneys, but unfortunately they don't always work on issues like this. So if they're wanting to consider maybe jumping in to use their legal skills to help families, what are the kinds of things that attorneys would be helpful for?
I think attorneys would be good for asking questions, help you write. If you like, myself, I can write, but I like to have it critique to where you get straight to the point where you're asking for. So I think that would be good for the lawyer to help you. It could be your mouth, they could be your spokesperson, or you can let them be on the backside and you talk, say what would be good, what would be the strategy, what can we use next, what steps should I take next? Like me, where do I go next as in being myself as a mother? I was thinking, well, what do I go next? What do I do? So I think a legal representation, and and I think a lot of the police department don't like it when you find a lawyer or somebody legal representation, because my personal thing with the Yurok tribe, when I had them try to write some letters for me to be paying for Angela's business, over there in Shasta County to the coroner's office. And then of course the detective called me, Justin's like, well, you have a lawyer now. They I think they kind of get scared of that. You have legal representation. It kind of shakes them up. So I think that's a kind of a good thing. I think in my opinion, I think that would be a positive thing, not a negative, but a positive, to show them that you have legal representation, so they can't, like push you around, like, oh, we don't know, oh, we don't, just like I'm doing like now, like, oh, I don't know what's going on, kind of thing. So.
Another question I have for you is, and the reason I'm asking this is not only because you're a mom, but because you have a degree in criminal justice. What do you think justice looks like?
Well, justice for me is finding the people, that had person or peoples that had done this to my daughter. But overall, just like a lot of people, for myself, I think that justice, I'll have a little bit ease as a parent, but I know, it's not going to bring Angela back. It's not going to, like, she's going to reappear, but it's going to have a little bit more, like I can rest. I can't sleep, as long as you have a little bit closure, but not, quite, because she's not coming back. But at least that we got the person, and like, you can go ahead and rest. Like I can rest now. You can move on, go on with your life, try to go on with your livelihood. But right now, justice for me is that, that we did it, it's done, and we completed it right now. That's how I feel as a mother. So whoever done, this to Angela, and to, I guess, to her boyfriend, both of them, maybe we'll have a lot more peace, a little bit peace of mind right now. For me.
Yeah. One thing that struck me in the beginning of when you were sharing with us tonight was all of the really positive, beautiful memories you have with Angela. And that's kind of where I wanted to end. I know it might feel like I'm interrogating you, but it's because I know you have so many great things to say. But my last question for you is, what are some of your favorite memories of Angela?
My favorite memory of Angela, because somebody asked me that over the week, that one weekend we were there, and they asked me that question. And the most wonderful memory I had of my only daughter that I had is her being born. Her being born and, having her for 26 years of my life, spending her last birthday with her. I miss her. I miss her. I love you, Mama. Texted me early in the morning to talk to me, call me early in the morning just to say she loves me. Check it out. I and her brother. I just miss her, especially the holidays are really hard. But she was a beautiful, beautiful young woman. I truly miss her, every day. Just not, I miss her every day.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Tammy. I know it takes a toll, and so it really means a lot that you're willing to share and speak for Angela with us.
Yes. Thank you.
I am going to turn it over to our next panelist, and she's at an event tonight in honor of May 5th, and so she sent us a recording of what she'd like to share about her daughter. So I'm going to play that recording here and share my screen. Before I start it, I'll just preface by saying that the recording is from Cindy Martin-Wolfe, who's the mother of Jessica Alba, who was killed due to domestic violence in San Francisco. Let's see, there's her video, and let me make it full screen.
Okay. Greetings to all our relations. My name is Cindy Martin-Wolfe, and I am the mother of Jessica Nicole Alba. I would like to thank everyone for being here today, whether you're listening to this event or at one of the many other events that are being held all across the country. We welcome you and we appreciate so much your participating and learning and then going out and being voices for those of ours that have been murdered or are missing. I'd like to thank all of the people that have done so much to do all of the work involved to make these events happening all across the country right now. SBI has been fantastic. Annita has been wonderful and given so much love and care and support to all of the families of our victims. Let's see, where will I start? Well, Jessica is actually was murdered here in San Francisco, April the 5th, 2 years ago. She was a loving, beautiful daughter, a sister, cousin, community worker in her community, wonderful, loving, and giving friend to anyone who ever needed anything. She also was a mother. She's a mother of 6 children. 2 of her younger children were actually there at the time that she was murdered in their own home. Unfortunately, this is a story that is being told far too often. It's tragic, and it's sad, it's heartbreaking. These children will know their mother. They'll know about their mother from all of the people that she touched their lives and from all of her family members. But they won't really know her personally because they're too young, and they won't see that light in her eyes and that love that was always in her heart, giving in her wonderful warm hugs that she gave to everyone, her laughter and smile. They won't ever know that because of a man who had many issues and problems, but never did get take responsibility for them to get help for himself, to not harm other people. She was one of many of the people that he had harmed throughout his lifetime. She had been working in the San Francisco community. She originally started out working with the International Human Rights Organization. Passion of hers was always helping and reaching out for doing what was right and making sure that people's rights were protected and that they were always kept safe, and especially women and children kept safe. She really loved children, and of course all the children just swarmed around her because they loved her so much. She also worked at the Friendship House here for a couple of years and loved it there. She worked with the entertainment industry, whatever to do, entertainment events, all the events in San Francisco, and made many, many new friends, and had rebuilt her entire life for 5.5 years here, reaching out to other people, going in and rescuing women who were in need and getting them and their children to safety. And she was a strong voice, speaking out for others. That voice was stolen from her and from all of us who love her by a young man. His name was Clayton Rhodes. His sister, Charlie Rhodes, and their cousin, Adam Johnson. We're all there, we're all involved. The perpetrator himself, the alleged perpetrator, was Clayton himself, her boyfriend, that she knew of his problems, but she had tried very hard to work with him all the time that he was in prison. He had made promises to be able to go to Friendship House and go through the program and have counseling and be able to change his life, start over, have a wife and a family. He just had to really want to, and he would have had all the help to do that. Unfortunately, that was never his goal. He's had a lifetime of violence. He has injured many, many people and gone to prison many times. I was able to go through all of his prison records, and in all those times he was returned to prison for violent crimes. During his stay in prison, he had committed numerous other violent crimes upon other Native inmates, upon guards, was moved from prison to prison, and then released again and again and again. And each time he was released, he would do something worse to the people in the communities where he was released to. So the parole board and prison system completely failed, as they do with releasing most of these men who are women who have anger and hate and violence inside of them, and that is what they act out upon others. He ended up being only charged with violation of his parole, being returned for 2 years. He's due to be released from prison on July the 10th this summer. The children, her two little children that had been there while he had been there, went through extreme trauma. They've been in intensive specialized counseling. Not only the murder of their mother, the loss of their mother, but the abuse, the physical, mental, and emotional abuse that they suffered from this man. They were terrified. He had told them if they ever spoke to social workers or anyone that he would find them and kill them. Even if he went to prison, he would get out and come back and find them all. So it took a whole year of working with the kids to get that fear away and to have them recover enough to become strong and unafraid, and to see this evil man as exactly what he is, powerless and just trying to exhibit his control and perceived power over other people. They are no longer afraid of him. They see him as pitiful and weak as he is. We have not had any justice, nor have the majority of the families of other victims who have been either stolen or missing or murdered. The horror of what you go through with something like that is just unbelievable. But on top of that, you have the insult to the injury that you'll have because of law enforcement not even, I guess you would say, recognizing the things that happen with domestic violence, giving any dignity or respect or honor to either the victim themselves or to any of their family members. I would say that the majority of the time, as with our case, they will refuse to even do an investigation. We decided that there was so much overwhelming evidence that we got together and did our own investigation. I spent much time in my daughter's apartment after her death, after my family had left and went home. Spending time burning medicine and praying and listening to the voices and to her. She basically walked me through, and I saw everything that happened. And by doing that, things that I would not have ever noticed, I was able to see and document. There are many, many witnesses that have very important information that are now coming forward and wanting to stand for our brothers and sisters that are, even if they were friends of theirs or relatives or whatever else, that choosing to do what's right and to protect the innocent. I even did a forensic investigation of the apartment and have all of the photos and everything else that show all of the trauma, all the damage, and all of the blood that had been cleaned up throughout the whole area that this event happened at. I've discovered that when we are faced with these things, since the law enforcement will not investigate, it falls upon the family members to I set aside my emotions of the time and was just matter of fact determined to find out the truth. If the truth would have not been what I thought it was, that would have been just okay, because I would have known the truth and we would have had closure with the truth. So we began seeking for the truth. We have a huge file that has been put together of factual documentation, factual evidence, forensic evidence, interviews with other people who knew things, and a list of names and contacts for the police to be able to interview, and those that are willing now to share anything and everything that they know about the details of what happened, and actually what happened during that 1 month. He was only out for 1 month, and did this within the month, and he will be out again, and he will pick another victim, and he will feel like he has no fear anymore because he's gotten away with it. We're determined to stop that, but we're going to do it in the right way that will empower all of the other family members, all of the other people seeking justice for the people that they love, to show a way to do it, to open the doors to having a voice for those whose voices were taken, to speaking up and going past law enforcement, up straight with the entire package of solid documented evidence and proof that can be presented to a grand jury, and the grand jury can look at it overwhelmingly and make a unbiased decision, thereby giving out injunctions and indictments for arrest warrants, and start bringing in people from all over everywhere to face the truth, and to help the members of the families, friends, the community to have justice, to have the actual truth told about whatever happened to their loved ones, and to finally have closure. I am so very appreciative, as is my family. I'm grateful from my hearts to yours, and appreciate everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate today, and I wish everyone the very best. Thank you.
Those were some powerful words from Jessica Alva's mother, Cindy Martin-Wolfe. So we want to thank Cindy for being courageous and sharing with us tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to our next panelist. We have Bernadette Smith here with us. And Bernadette, please feel free to go ahead and share whatever you'd like.
Sorry about that. So I'm here actually in San Francisco at the MMIW gathering that they're having today. And I just seen Jessica Alva's mother speak, and she's just as powerful when you hear her in person. She, those words that she shared were beautiful and very empowering. And I'm really glad that she said she took it upon herself to investigate and financiers and stuff. And I really think that's all that we're left with at this point. One thing is, I'll just keep her in my prayers and hope that she doesn't give up. And, if she's let down by the court system, that she keeps fighting until they get what they deserve, which is justice for Jessica. Yeah, so one thing about my sister Nicole, we've been coming to a few of these gatherings and being around other people who share those similar things and similar experiences, losing a loved one in this way. You just feel comforted. You're not alone, and there's other people, and it is frustrating too, because you see how many other people this is happening to. It makes you a little angry, at the justice system, and keeps me asking, like, how is this happening? How is this happening? And it seems like everybody kind of has a clear idea of who did something to their loved one, yet there's no justice being brought forth. For me personally, with my sister, she was murdered at my home on Manchester Reservation. The story that happened prior to my sister's murder, for us, for my family, painted a pretty good picture of who it could be. We spoke with the police, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department. We told them everything that we could think of. We turned over all our phones, everything that they asked for. And they're convinced that I'm holding back information that would lead to the arrest and finally close the case. Like, I have nothing more to give them. I've given them everything I had. Things that I thought were crucial and important things, they seem to just to laugh at, So I wasn't sure why they were putting the responsibility of them doing their job on information that I was withholding when I gave them everything that we had. So in my sister's case, we believe that it was some sort of lateral violence, native on native violence that happened. And I know when it comes to native on native violence, I feel like everybody's family is pretty tight knit and closed. Everybody wants to protect their own family. So when it comes to speaking about it for another native to tell on another native is almost impossible. And that's what I've been seeing happening, even, with Khadijah Britton. They believe that the person of interest was another native man, yet nobody has said anything. Even with Jessica Alba, her boyfriend at the time was Native American, and his family's not saying anything. It's like, it seems like when it comes to that lateral violence, like, no, there's no answers for those things. People's families just shut down, and it's pretty sad when it comes to that. My sister's been gone 3 years. We continue to remember her, and I do my best to honor her memory and taking care and giving to her children as much as I can, keeping her spirit in my mom's life, and just trying to always remember her. And we play her videos on her birthday. We all sit around the TV and watch all her movies or home videos and things like that, and remembering her. And it still can't believe that she's gone. We've been in contact with the Sheriff's Department, very little. We've tried to communicate. They keep switching new investigators every time that we get in contact with them. They say there's a new investigator, so it's going to take them some time to, get acquainted with the case, so that they can't really tell us much right now. And we call back, give them like a couple of weeks, and they still don't know nothing, or they can't say anything. It's either one of those things. Is there's nothing new, and if there is, they can't say. So we just want answers, like anything. I know they did for Khadijah. They did a press conference for her, where the sheriff came on and told how many cars were searched, how many hours were put in toward the case, how many people were interviewed. They gave the family some answers, at least. They didn't close the case or find anything, but to know that, this is how many man hours they were putting in, those kinds of things, if they would give that to my family, I think it would give some sort of peace of mind that they actually have done anything for my sister. We've asked on the reservation, like, did the cops ever interview you guys? Did they ever ask if you heard anything? And nobody has said anything. They weren't questioned. The neighborhood nobody was asked if they heard anything, if they seen a car or anything. So I'm not quite sure what the reason is or why. Or at one point they did tell me that Khadijah had just went missing a few weeks after my sister got murdered. So they told me that they had to stop, giving my sister's case all the attention because there was a girl missing. And what would I rather have this girl, that was still possibly alive, not get their full attention, or, my sister who had already, been passed away. And this was Mendocino Sheriff's Department, which I felt was a little bit disheartening. I didn't think that they needed to use another Native woman situation against my own sisters, which I thought that was very classless of them to do that. But even so, we see what happened there. Khadijah's case hasn't been solved. My sister's case hasn't been solved. 2 Native women that went missing, or that, murdered or missing within the same year, few months apart, if that, and the cases still haven't been solved. I'm not sure what more our family can do as far as putting pressure on them. If anything, I'd like to see how other families were able to get that kind of pressure put on, where they were able to get a press conference, given to them on behalf of, like, Khadijah's case. What it took for them to say this is important enough for us to address publicly. I think that would help, even not just ease our minds and spirits of her family, of Nicole's family, but kind of put some kind of public pressure on the murderers, or the people who were involved. Like, let them know, like, oh, they're asking questions, or they're still investigating this. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like the people thought they've gotten away with it, and these are people I feel that are very close in our community in Santa Rosa and Ukiah. There's been rumors and things like that you hear over the years, like people say, oh, this person did it. Oh, this person went on their live and they were drunk and they said that they were involved. And, you hear all these things, and you the police, and they say, oh, well, we can't use that. We can't use hearsay, or we can't use what someone told you. And it's like, well, people are saying these things, and you guys obviously don't know anything. So, why not? Why not investigate these things? They're important. So I'm not sure. It's just been frustrating, and we just continue to pray and continue to walk in these marches and these prayer walks with people. And hopefully, if anything that we get from this is just a sense of togetherness and unity with other families and victims are living the same life that we are, without answers. Our loved ones are gone. It's very hard when you have to see your loved one's face on a poster the way we do. They have these beautiful billboards here and beautiful banners. And, it's so sad to see your sister like that. You don't ever expect to see your relative on something like this. And, when you do, it's beautiful, but it's also very, very sad. It's very, very sad. And I'm just thankful for everybody being here, and, for the other families who share in the same walk that we're walking, of darkness, of no answers, and seeking justice. My sister was a mother of 3. I see her daughter growing up and without her mom, and she's depressed, and she used to be such a happy little girl, and seeing the aftermath of this, you know, yeah, the trauma of when it happened was devastating, but to see what happens, this doesn't go away. You know, there's lasting lifetime effects on the people around her that were around her. My niece and nephew growing up without their mom, you know, it's a crazy thing to see them, and their personalities and demeanors, how they've changed so much in the last 3 years since their mother's been gone. I know that I do my best to honor my sister in any way I can. The life that I was living when my sister passed away is a whole different life that I lead than today. You know, I've dedicated my life to my sister, and honoring her, and everything I do, you know, has been with her in mind, and so that her death hasn't been for nothing. You know, she took those bullets for everybody in that house that night. That spirit of death was there collecting, and they chose her, you know, and we all got to continue on. And I don't take that for granted. I don't take the loss of her life for granted. I just continue to honor her and her life and her death. And, you know, we'll pray for her and her children, and for my parents, and for myself, that I'll be able to continue, and, you know, not let that spirit of depression control me anymore. There's been a few years that passed. The first 2 were the hardest, you know, to not hold myself guilty. You know, it was my house. I lived there. She didn't even live there. She was just staying the night, you know, at my house. So for whatever reason, the people chose to do a drive-by at my house and shoot it up, you know, and they got my sister. You know, not a day doesn't pass when I try to think of, you know, what did I do? What was I doing? Like, why, you know, why did these people come and shoot at my house? You know, who were they? It was obvious, you know, it's my house. They opened my daughter's bedroom window and shot inside, and that's where my sister was sleeping at. So, you know, you live in fear of why they did this. You know, if they were looking to hurt me, they did it, and hopefully, you know, that was all they needed. I was able to move off the reservation after that, start a new life somewhere else. But, you know, leaving my sister behind on the reservation, she's buried there, and, you know, it's not easy. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you for sharing and being so strong. And I know you must be tired because you've been at the event all day traveling. So we really appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to our next panelist, April Carmelo. April, are you here with us? There you are.
I'm here. I've been listening. I am at Turtle Bay Museum where we opened. I want to turn my screen around so I can show you. Can I do that? How do I flip it?
There should be like,
oh, there it is. We are honoring, I want to show you guys, in case you don't get to see, I'll screenshot this better than you can share it. We put statistics that Sovereign Bodies Institute gave us for Shasta County, for California and Northern California. We have a video playing by Dr. Childs about the 100th anniversary of the jingle dress. And we have Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women logo. This was a quilt commissioned by Ginger Murphy, who's a Redding Rancheria tribal member, commissioned this quilt for this particular exhibition. And we recognize the missing and murdered Indigenous women as well, connected to the jingle dress. We had 150 people at this event tonight. for this opening exhibition. It will run from May 1st through September 6th here at Turtle Bay Museum. We're working on getting some sponsorship so that we can buy Indian families membership to Bay so that they can come and see the exhibition as well, because we only had 150 available seats here tonight, and there was another exhibition that was opening as well. So we were only able to give out 100 invitations. Everybody wore red to honor our missing and murdered Indigenous women. And I want to show you this. We have a manzanita tree. And at the same time, I want to mention that right across the bridge at Moss Village, where Turtle Bay is right here, you go across the Sundial Bridge, you take a left and then another quick left. On the hill right there, there's a black fence area that is known as Moss Village. That's where all the burials, when they started putting this Turtle Bay in years ago, that's where all the burials that were originally here, we asked them to keep them there. And I have Christy Arona here. She traveled from Riverside. She's a jingle dress dancer, and she talked today. And I want her to share a little bit of her story with you. This is Missing and Murder, or Sovereign Bodies Institute. Oh, hi. And I want you to tell them your story that you were talking about. I think this is important because I think people need to see the connection, not just with the jingle dress, but the MMIW as well, and the effects of families.
Sorry. I came up here really as a tribute to my birth mother, who was a missing Indigenous woman running away from her family to hide being pregnant with me and being raped by, as a 12-year-old. And thank goodness I was adopted by an Indigenous family, but the whole connection for me is I've never publicly ever shared that story, and it just seems like now is the time for that particular healing. And being a jingle dress dancer, obviously this beautiful dress, this traditional story of medicine and healing communities that have lost, that have had grief, and have experienced displacement and everything that comes along with being Indigenous here. It just was profoundly moving to me to be part of it and to recognize that how many of us have been born from this particular circumstance. And there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us who return home as adoptees, and then we hear more specifics about the stories of how we were conceived, but honoring the women and the girls that come before us, continuing to remember their stories and speaking the truth about them. This is a taboo thing for us. And a lot of people, of course, if you say, I'm the product of rape, what that kind of judgment brings. My mother was 12 when she had me. What kind of stigma that brings. And really the idea that some of our women, like my mother, who knows? I don't know if she ever was made it past 15. I don't know if some of our girls and our women we never find. Some of our girls and our women come home in boxes. Some of our women and girls are lost to us and are never recovered, or they're repatriated, like this woman here who is just repatriated today. Maybe they sit in a storehouse in a museum somewhere as these artifacts, you know, but we the living, we the ones that are living right now with these stories and with these legacies and with this history, clearly now is the time to vocalize the advocacy and come forward and remind each other, remind the outsiders. We're still here. We're still very present. We're still very much carriers of tradition, but some of us perhaps have been lost and ingrained amongst the general population, maybe never to come back, or maybe to have to relearn or understand more clearly what it means to have the genetics, not just the acculturation. And so I'm here, and as a teacher, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a carrier of this of my story, hoping that it will allow others to come forward and feel okay about sharing theirs. But we're not alone. We're not alone. So hope that makes sense. I think it does, because you do this work. And you do this work for a reason, because it speaks to you and it's creators' work, and it's a calling for you. If you're working with women and hearing these stories all the time, you know exactly what I mean. I just want to honor you and thank you for doing what you do and listening to these stories and continuing to advocate for women and children.
Thank you, Christy. I want to show you what I take everywhere I go when I set up. I created these posters, and with my coworker, we sat down, and you know how sometimes you go on the laundromat and they're advertising something, you know, like car work or cleaning, and then they put words down here or phone numbers. Well, we took pictures, all these pictures, and we added words to them, and we added compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, bravery, hugs, honor, prayer, wisdom, purity, balance, healing, dream, happiness, miracles, friendship, blessing, perseverance, breathe, gratitude, humility, kindness, light, hope, courage, forgiveness, prayer, love, laughter, faith, beauty, strength, rest, peace, and tenderness. And on the bottom of each one of those, it says, take what you need. And we hand these out. And then we have shirts. So if you have a young man or a man who's gone missing, we ask that you write that person's name on there and put the year as well, or any other information, a message that you want. And then we have dresses, and we have skirts for girls. And we put them on this manzanita bush here. And I take all these and I take them wherever I go, and I set up this manzanita bush, and I share these names with people. We've taken this to the statewide conference of California Indian education in Sacramento and in Palm Springs. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point in my life where I'm able to talk about it, but also to be able to move forward. Because I think that in 2012, I think it was like my body went through the motions, and I don't know where I was for 6 years until my sister came home. I went to work, I went home, I went grocery shopping. I graduated from college. And I don't know how I did that. I think it was just the trauma that took over, and I continued to function, but I wasn't there. And I just told my family, I don't know where I am, even though I'm here. So just, keep an eye on me. Sometimes I'd be driving down the road and I don't know where I was. It was so traumatic. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind is that one of the police officers, when they came over to my sister's house when I had reported her missing, he said, it is not a crime to go missing as an adult in the state of California. That's what he told me. And I carefully packed my sister's entire house, and I bagged everything like I was a CSI person or something. I double bagged it. I packed everything, and my husband and my sons and my nephew, they stood outside and they waited until I said, okay, now come in and take this box. Now take this box. And we went room by room. And I packed my sister's entire house and I put it in storage. And we had switched investigators 2 times. And to tell me that the first investigator had left. And then when they finally came forward and said, hey, we have this new investigator, he says, I just needed to know, like, do you have any, can you give me your DNA? And I thought to myself, oh, no, I give him my DNA to anybody. Because I was thinking in my mind, one day I may go rogue and I don't want nobody to have my DNA in any database because I don't want them to know who I am. I'm just going to snap or something, And so I told him, no, he couldn't have my DNA. And then my husband said, let's record this. And so when we were talking, I had my husband said, I'm going to go set it up. And so we sat outside my house and my husband pressed record and he told them, I'm going to record this. And he said, you are? And he says, yeah, this is my house. You're interviewing my wife and I'm going to record it. And they were like, wow, that was kind of weird. Nobody ever asked us that. So we recorded the whole conversation and then flash forward, like later on that evening, my husband said, they found something. That's why they came here to talk to you about DNA. They have something. And we had already discussed this before they had gotten there. My husband says, you're not going to give them your DNA, are you? And I said, no, because they were all trying to convince me, yeah, you could just do a swab of this and a swab of that or whatever. And I said, no. So then after we did the interview, I didn't hear anything for about another 1.5 years, 2 years. And I would constantly text him or email him and ask him questions about what had happened with my sister's investigation. Did they have anything new? And then I happened to come upon NamUs. And I was just flipping around, because during this time, like, I can't sleep, right? So I'm up 2, 3 a.m. and I'm looking around on NamUs and I come across pictures of my sister's crying. It was still on there. They didn't even close it. And this was like the day after. So February 1st is when the investigator came to me in 2018. February 1st is my son's birthday. Ironically, it is also the same day that I had lost a child, like 10 years before that. So I have 2 kids that were born on February 1st. And he came in and he told me that he had found, that they had my remains, and there was a man up by Lake Almanor, and he was out looking for mushrooms, and he came upon my sister's remains, and he called it in. And then, so I went home that night and I'm looking around on NamUs, and that's when I find all these pictures. And so I quickly downloaded everything onto two things, not just my computer, but a flash drive. And then I put it in my safe, my flash drive in my safe with all the pictures and information that they had on NamUs. And then I emailed the investigator and said, hey, did you know that there are pictures up here? Because he was asking me questions about these blankets that they had found at my sister's crime scene. And so moving fast forward, because I have like 20% left on my phone. I got my sister's remains back, and you know, you never know how you're gonna feel about something until you have to do it. You could anticipate things, you could question it, but I believe, I don't know how everyone else believes, but I believe in the power of prayer. I've seen it work. And I prayed to my sister when she first went missing, and I asked her, show me where you're at, show me where you're at. I need your help. I reached out to her because I knew she was gone. And she came in a dream and she was trying to show me, but I couldn't raise my head up. My head was like being pushed down, and I was trying to look with just my eyes, because I was telling myself if I could see the trees, I would know if I was in the mountains or if I was down below. But I could hear water, and it was a brook water. There's a very, very distinct sound of a brook as compared to a river or a creek. If you listen to water, they're very distinct sounds. And it was brook water, and I knew she was in the mountains because you have to go way high up in the mountains to get brook water. And they're just little tiny trickles of water. A fish even live in. And I knew she was up in the mountains, but I didn't know where. And then I asked her to come back again to help me, to show me in a dream, and I couldn't get her back. And I was very desperate. And I had a conversation with Creator, and I said, you know, I'm really pissed. I'm really, really pissed. And I questioned my belief in Creator. And I said, you need to show me that you hear what I'm saying to you, that you hear my prayers. Because if you don't, then I'm God. And I said, if you hear my prayers, you know, we do crazy stuff and we challenge Creator. And I said, every time I go next to water, because I was thinking about that brook that I heard in my dream, every time I go next to water, I need you to show me a heart rock. This is how specific I got. I want you to show me a heart rock, because I want to know that you love me and you care about me and that you hear my prayers for my sister. So all those years I traveled all around, every place I went over to the coast, I went back east, I went everywhere. I would say, oh, stop the car, I gotta go down in the water. And I go down the water, and there, lo and behold, would be a heart rock. I went to sacred places all over the place. I went to the Black Hills where there's a hole to Wind Cave, and I prayed. As I start walking up the hill, there's this lava rock out of all things in the Black Hills. I didn't even know there was a volcano. There was a lava rock in the shape of a heart. I quickly grabbed it because it's like National Park or something like that, and I put it in my trunk. I had this whole collection of heart rocks from all those years that I traveled around. And I never questioned Creator again like that, because I knew that he heard me, because I was real specific. I told water, I told him a heart rock. If you show me that, I will never question you again. I will do exactly what you tell me to do. I will do your work the rest of my life. So I always tell people, I said, don't make me pray for you, because me and Creator, we'd be like that. And I put my fingers up. I said, we'd be like that, because I believe that. And you have to believe in your prayers. You have to believe in what you're asking for and what you want to happen, because it will come to pass. If you believe that way, if you truly believe that way, and you believe that Creator works in ways that you don't even know. And people say stuff, how did you know that? I said, me and Creator would be like that. He sends me things. He sends people in my life that I need. He takes me places that I need to go. He helps me do the work so that I could heal from all of this all of this. And this is how powerful he is. He knew when I went to go bury my sister, I was so heartbroken. And I told my sisters on the drum, I said, the old people used to say that when you're so heartbroken about somebody who's gone, that passes away, that they will send a baby. And I saw my granddaughter in a dream before my son and my daughter-in-law told me that they were going to have a baby 2 months later. I said, I already saw her. She's a girl. And you asked her, whose girl are you? She says, I'm grandma's girl. Who is that? That's Nakoto. That's my grandma. Her and I spiritually are close because she came to me, and Creator knew I needed that to help me heal and to move forward. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm blessed beyond measure for all the things that have come into my life. And I try to see the positive things about all of this. This is heavy, heavy stuff. And, you know, Creator made this happen or helped this for a reason. And I believe that. My sister used to be the vice chairperson for our tribe. She helped us to get federally recognized. She was the driver for my brother. I come from a little tiny rancheria, Greenville Rancheria. Out of all the members, there's probably a handful of us who are actually born in Indian Valley. I was one of those people who was born. I was born right next to the hot springs. I believe in prayer. I believe in dreams. I believe Creator's right here with me. And I believe that anyone who has gone on, that I call upon them when I need them. I ask them, move, whatever you need to move, make happen, whatever you need to happen. In my kids' lives, in my grandkids' lives, in my friends' lives, I ask them, you know, you are more powerful now than you ever were on this earth. You are so powerful. You can hear me, you can see me, you can sit beside me, you can hold my hand, you can move things here on this earth. I believe that with all of my being. And I call upon my sister many times. This is her work. And my granddaughter, in my dream, when she came to me, I said, oh, what are you doing here? I was talking to her in a little baby voice, and she said, I have lots of work to do. That's why I'm coming. That's what she told me in my dream. So when I see her, her name is Wabos. That's what her Potawatomi grandpa gave her, that name. It means the first light of the day. Wapnagos. She's the morning star. So she knows, her spirit knows, because she came to me before she even came to this earth. And she came because the old people used to say, when you're so heartbroken about somebody, they will send a baby. And I believe it. We should do this again. I like talking to these other women. I like listening to their stories. I think it's good healing for us too. But I think my dream is here in Reading to host an MMIW conference. That's my goal. So I write grants and stuff like that, and I have people that do a lot of really good, powerful work too. And so that's my goal. So I'm shooting for 1 year from now. So everybody's invited. And I love Cindy's daughter. She was my student. I have to say that. She was my student, and she had a good spirit. She was like a star too, because she just had this warm, loving feeling about her. And I gifted her a star quilt. And you know, that's honor and generosity, and it means that I really respected her. She's a good mom. She's a good mom, and she loved her kids with all of her heart. And my heart just breaks for the kids, and I just want to just hold them and protect them and just hold their hand wherever they go in their life. And I know it's hard for Cindy, and I know it's hard for her sisters. And when I saw the kids the other day, before Cindy went down yesterday, I saw them in the morning, and I got to hug them, and her little boy looks just like her. Oh my gosh. Creator's good when he does that, when he makes kids that look like their parents. It's a blessing to see that. It reminds us every day. And I told those little kids, I said, you're warriors. If anybody tells you any different, you tell them to come to me, because I got your back all the time, always. They're beautiful kids, just beautiful kids. So I guess they're kicking us out. You know how they do.
Well, thank you for joining us from the event and showing us all the beautiful dresses. It looks like it was just a really powerful space and gathering.
Oh, it was beautiful. You guys got to come see it. I'm trying to get sponsorship so we can get membership for families to come.
That would be awesome. And I see your vision of a conference a year from now. I love it.
Yes.
We'll do.
I already got one tribe. I'm trying to get another tribe to sponsor us so we could host it here. And, you know, hopefully things will change with the whole COVID thing. And there's lots of work to do, and I'm a worker bee.
I see that.
So we had a feast tonight too. I want to tell you that we had healing food tonight. I made acorn, I made pinon soup. We had smoked salmon. We had wild dandelion. We had blackberry jam. We had Indian tea that I picked all the way over in Eagle Canyon in Nevada. We wanted to, you know, this is a ceremony here, so that's what we do. So we have dandelion and blackberries and raspberries. We have maple syrup from one of my friends from Passamaquoddy way back in Maine, wild blackberry jam, some Indian tea, some acorn, pinon soup's almost all gone. So thank you for your sponsorship too, and thank you for doing this. This is good work, and we'll see Cindy back over here in Reading.
Thanks so much for sharing, April. You're making me hungry.
Oh.
So I think we'll wrap up our discussion for tonight, but I want to thank all of our panelists for being so courageous and so strong and so brave in sharing everything that you all have tonight. I know that it's a club that nobody wanted to be a part of, but all of you are warrior women who are just doing incredible things for your loved ones and for our peoples. So please know that you're all wrapped in my prayers and in my love. So we're going to turn off the recording now, and then we have our elder Chris Devers, who has been so generously and patiently waiting